Hi guys, today we are sort of myth busting, I guess. Lots of people are put off keeping marine fish because they're told by other hobbyists and also they're told by shop staff that you can't keep marine fish unless you spend thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars on special equipment, special tanks, special this, that and the other, and it's simply not true. And we're going to sift through all the rubbish that you're told about keeping marine fish, and I'm actually going to show you how you can keep marine fish really simply without having to spend loads and loads of money. So I will confirm that marine fish do need special water. So if you're told they need special water, that is correct. You need RO water normally because tap water is usually full of rubbish. It's best to use an RO filter. This one needs some pads changing, but that is what an RO filter looks like. And I tend to put my water into a big blue barrel. And the thing that makes it really special is you add salt to it. So it's not table salt, it's sea salt. I use Aquaforest sea salt, but there's many brands available. And that's about it as far as special stuff goes to. As long as you've got the sea salt at the correct salinity, everything else is kind of optional. The first thing you'll be considering is the tank. And if you go into a fish shop, an aquarium shop, they will normally separate the marine tanks from the freshwater tanks. They'll tend to say one is for freshwater and one is for saltwater. Now, a lot of the times, the difference is merely the light that comes with the tank. In essence, a tank is a glass box. It does not matter and it does not know what kind of water you are putting inside of it. So let's have a look at this one here. This is a Fluval 123 Marine. And the reason it's a marine is simply the fact that it comes with a marine light. The freshwater version of this tank has a freshwater light. The difference being one will grow corals and one won't. But let's say you don't want to keep corals in your tank. You don't want corals, you only want to have marine fish or macroalgae as well, like this one. And lots of people do that. In that case, it doesn't actually matter which glass box or acrylic box, in some cases, you decide to use. They'll all hold salt water, and it doesn't matter that they're not marketed as a marine tank. This one here is a new tank I've got. It's the Superfish Scaper 90, and this is going to be a marine aquarium, even though it has a hang on the back filter and it has one of these freshwater LEDs. I'm going to put salt water in it. And just to highlight that one more time, here's a 4-foot thin aquarium with nothing more than a little filter in the corner. And what do we have in here? We have salt water with marine fish. So it does not matter which tank you buy, as long as it's big enough for your inhabitants and can hold enough volume of water so that they are happy, and also long and deep enough for them to swim around, then it does not matter which tank you get for your marine fish. Next, we're going to talk about lighting and filtration, and we'll start with lighting because it's a really quick subject. There's just one question to ask when it comes to lighting a marine aquarium. Do you want to keep corals? If the answer is no, then it really doesn't matter what light you put over your marine aquarium, because in essence the light is there just to illuminate the aquarium so you can see your marine fish. If the answer is yes, then you have to make some decisions because there are lots of different choices in marine lighting. A lot of older style aquariums will come with T5 lighting. Now this is if you buy an aquarium that already has lighting, and even if it comes with a freshwater lighting set in T5, you can just change the bulbs over to be a marine spectrum. So there's no problem with doing that. It's just simply the spectrum that the bulb gives out. I actually prefer T5s in a lot of ways when it comes to growing my macroalgae species. The green macroalgae, as you can see in this tank here, they really like the fact that the spectrum isn't pinpointed on a single part of the light spectrum. T5s tend to give out more of a broad range of spectra, and my macroalgae really appreciate that. The second option is of course LEDs. Most modern aquariums will come with LEDs. Now the decision is up to you whether you want a marine one or you want a freshwater one, but for corals you'll need a marine spectra LED, and these really vary in price from something like this, which I guess you can pick up for around £150, all the way up to thousands of pounds if you go for the really fancy ones. But at the end of the day, you have to pick the right light for your budget and for the kind of corals that you want to keep. The next part is filtration, and I think this is where lots of people get confused about marine aquaria. So if you've never kept marine fish before, but you have kept tropical fish, then in essence it's the same thing, it's just in salt water. But if you go into some fish shops or go onto some online forums, there will be people on there that tell you have to do it in XYZ way, buy this equipment and that equipment, and if you don't do it, you're not going to have a nice looking fish tank. And that's absolute rubbish. This entire shed is a great example of that. So the most common way of filtering a marine aquarium is to have a sump below it. Now this is not really a sump in terms of a sump design, this is just a 125 below another aquarium, but technically it's a sump. And all a sump does is house your equipment, and normally you'd have some sort of filtration media and bits and pieces in there. And that is the way that people insist you must do marine tanks. You have a sump, it goes back up to your main aquarium filtered, and in your main aquarium you have all your good stuff, and in the sump you have all your bad stuff. You can already see here is an example of a non-typical sump. We have a bit of glass, which is just an old 125. That then goes through an external canister filter and it goes up through into my main systems. This just proves the theory that you don't need to do what other people tell you to do. But this isn't really something that I would encourage you to do as a new fish keeper. It really does depend on the size of your system as to what filtration you're going to use. So this particular tank is a 5-foot tank, but it's only, I think, around 380 litres or something. So on that, I've just got an Fx4 canister filter. This tank's been running for, I think, over a year now. It's doing really well, and it's just filtered off of this Fx4. There's no skimmer, there's nothing really on this tank. It's just a big box of water and live rock and macroalgae. But a lot of people won't start with a 5-foot aquarium. As I said, I'm going to be using this tank as a marine tank, and for this I'm just going to be using the hang-on filter that we have here. I've already got it cycling on another one of my tanks. You can see it cycling here, so when I use it on my tank it will be nice and mature and ready to run that marine system. But you don't necessarily have to do that. On the Fluval marine tank, it's a real simple setup as well. There are some sponges in either end of the filter media area, and then we've got a return pump in the centre. And then just to prove the point that it does not matter what you use, here is my, it's a bit dirty, I do apologise, but here is my sump for my main system, which you can see is running really nicely, except for a bit of hair algae in one of the tanks. And what is that? That is an old water trough from our horses. So lots of media in there and a return pump. So my point being from all of that rambling is you don't need to spend millions of pounds to have a good healthy marine system. Now there are optional things that you can add to your marine tank. You can add skimmers, and the skimmers are a good thing. They do require you to have a sump, which I showed you earlier, but they do help to keep the water clarity and the water quality high. I don't use them on any of my tanks because I use macroalgae as my main filtration, and I do large and regular water changes. In terms of UVs, they are also a really good thing that you can add to your aquarium, but they are ancillary, and by that I mean they're only there to help reduce parasites, and if you don't have parasites you won't need them, and secondly they're there for water clarity. They're not something that you need, and if you're told that you need them, then I suggest you talk to somebody else. Now I'm sure I will have a comment below this video saying that what I'm saying is fundamentally true, however all of these extra bits of filtration like sumps, skimmers, UVs and so on are there to make the whole experience easier for the end user, for the person making the aquarium, for running it and so on. And that is fundamentally true. Everything you can add to your aquarium tends to make it run a bit nicer. Skimmers definitely help, UVs definitely help, having a sump definitely helps and so on. But the point I'm trying to make in this video is the fact that there is a lot of elitism for new aquarium keepers and new marine aquarium keepers. And a lot of people are put off by other people in shops who may have more experience or have just been inundated with information from suppliers and reps and things that they have to have XYZ equipment. And this video is just to say that you don't. You can run a marine system really quite basically. All you need is a glass box, even just a basic filter, some salt water, a light, and depending on what you want to keep in it, obviously the right spectra. It's more important to learn how to keep the balance in that marine environment than it is to actually put the best equipment you can on these systems. I've worked in the aquatics industry for almost a decade, and I can't tell you the number of people that spend thousands of pounds on marine equipment, the best you can get, and yet they still have massive issues with hair algae, with aptasia, with parasites, fish dying, and so on and so forth. And this is one of these things that it's not just about throwing money at something, it's about understanding how all of this environment works. And you don't necessarily need to buy the best equipment to do that. So I hope this video has been enlightening. It's not a dig at anybody, it's just to say that if you are contemplating going into marine fish tanks, then don't be put off by the expense or what you're told that you have to do. There's many ways of keeping and enjoying saltwater fish, and not all of them require you to spend lots and lots of money. So thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to leave a like below, and also subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. Once again, thank you for watching, and happy fish keeping.